By Durotar's butt cheeks, I name this land Durotar. Because of the sins of the past horde, we will settle this wasteland as penance.
Heckin'! Screw you!
What? Where in Manaroth are you going?
I'm joining the Alliance, you bastard! I like food in my stomach, not dying of heat exhaustion!
Hello everyone, Willis here. Today I'll be judging this red wasteland on how realistically living here would be like. I'll be judging it based on a variety of factors, but most importantly with my own opinion. So, for those of you who are anti-opinion,
Karens.
for those of you that are left but have different opinions, list them in the comments below. Also, I'll be placing this zone on a tier list at the end of the video. Right, now, without further ado, let's begin. This orange glob of a wasteland is pretty dang rocky, with a lot of mountains, hills, and rock formations. And based on my experience with mining ore in Classic WoW, Durotar seems to be rich with the stuff. So I feel like one of the main resources that Durotar offers to the Horde is ore and fish, given that they're next to the sea. Also, side note, this massive river that marks the border between Durotar and the Barrens to the west of the zone, the source of this river is from Mount Hyjal. A river such as this should be providing the Horde with an abundant amount of farmland. Rivers are notorious for making great farmland, given the minerals flowing through them, creating rich soil, and the river would provide irrigation as well for the arid land, and more reasons besides. Look at the Nile River, or the Mississippi, and other rivers. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, despite this river's existence, it seems to provide little to no agricultural benefits. Or Blizzard just took the lazy route and just wanted to make a river to mark the border between the zones. Also, bruh, this subzone, South Fury watershed, is begging to be turned into farmland. Like, dude, look at the land and the water you need. It's right there. And if you're worried about the dang pigmen, I feel that by now the Horde would have wiped out the Quillbore and secured these lands for farms, but what do I know? Now they do have some springs that they use to raise livestock and for farming, but something tells me they don't last for very long. Also, there are these massive crabs and lobsters that roam the coast and the sea. Those would also make for a great food source. Furthermore, it seems the orcs raise a lot of boars in the region, so that will also contribute to the food. Though, I don't think it would be enough to feed the entirety of the capital, by like any means. In terms of what this land offers for people wanting to live here, it would be a bit of a hard life, but not as hard as it otherwise would be, well, at least not without the development of the Horde capital. Now, the capital offers a lot of food from trade, but for the most part you're looking at a diet of fish, pork, and crab, and little to no greens or grains. I mean, there is also cactus apples, and the land offers a lot of ore, which we'll talk about later in another segment. I don't think many people would willingly choose to live here, minus Thrall of course. Its arid climate and lack of food and rugged terrain make life difficult, but not overly harsh. Also, this zone effectively functions as an island. Given that water surrounds it on nearly all sides, and the mountains to its north, this is great geography for defending against an invading force. The reason why this is so great is because there's very few locations where an army could really comfortably invade, if at all. This island-like situation makes the land easier to defend and helps to keep the people of Durotar that much safer, which is a huge benefit to the zone. To round this off, I give this zone 3 thralls out of 5. I would have given it like maybe a 2, but the added protection that the zone offers just can't be ignored. And speaking of safety, now we're going to assume that magic can't be used to attack the zone or city. Why? Well, for one reason, it's just far too unpredictable to reasonably speculate on ways to defend against it. I mean, what are the odds of someone summoning a ship to batter the city walls? Or summoning a flood by torching water elementals? Dude, elementals got nothing to do with the arcane. Freaking stay in your magical lane, woman. WoW's magic has no rules or consequences for using it. In short, it can do pretty much anything, which I mostly find just frustrating, but that's a topic for another day. So, I'm treating the magic like nukes, for whatever reason, whether by treaty or because magic in some way, shape, or form is suppressed. Think Ogrimmar when Garrosh tortured the elements so no one else could use them. Or like nukes, like I mentioned earlier, at least in the sense that if one side uses it, the other will as well, so it will be mutually assured destruction. But Manoroth, now that all that's out of the way, let's begin. Now, Ogrimmar. Guys, Ogrimmar is freaking not conquerable. And it's a crime that it's been literally invaded twice. Like, there's no way. Let me explain. It is stupid defensible. Look at this. Look at these dang mountains. Ain't no way you're getting in the city except through the ways the defenders want you to enter. Which will be pain and more pain and just death. Let's look at this first entrance. It's already pretty defensible. Look at this hall. It's a great choke point.
FBI, open up!
Though it's not being fully utilized. I mean, right now, an army has to squeeze through it, and the ones coming out of the other side can be easily picked off, while the others in the hall can do jack all. Just wait to be slaughtered. But imagine for a moment, if there were a few murder holes in the ceiling. Imagine the defenders raining down stones, burning oil, and arrows, all while the invaders are trying to get through that hall. Oh my gosh. Also, this wall desperately needs crenulations and matriculations. Like, bruh, it needs them. This way, archers can have things to hide behind and not get immediately shot upon, and be able to shoot, at people if they get too close to the walls. Should I edit this out? Nah, we'll keep it. Finally, these walls need a dang moat. Now, hear me out. If you connected the river to the sea, holy moly, you have an amazing moat. And guys, you know what this prevents? These motherfuckers. And just normal ladders in general. Or heck, just dig a big trench in front of the walls, so that way people can't just stick a ladder on your walls and just climb it. Like, bruh. Now, I could go on, but I'll just say this. They really need to add some towers or heavy defenses along them ridges in Ogrimmar. That way, if any invaders get into the city, they can block off that section with the gates and rain down arrows and more onto their stupid faces.
You'll be okay, Darman.
What? Oh, yeah, no. I'm fine. Trust me. Anyway, that's besides the point. I went off on a huge tangent. Ogrimmar is okay for what it is, and it's very safe and well fortified by the standards of the rest of Azeroth. If you guys want me to, I can go into more details about Ogrimmar's defenses.
Yeah, please, no, man.
Well, in any event, leave a comment of what you think down below. Now, for Razor Hill, it's pretty defensible for a town. It's got a palisade, and with the capital of the entire Horde so close, they're safe enough. Though I do think the settlement should just be moved over here. As for wildlife, I feel like raptors wouldn't be too much of an issue. They would probably just leave people alone for the most part, as long as you left them alone. It's the freaking squirpets and their babies I worry about the most. Imagine stepping onto a buried adult squirpet. Oh, boy, your day is so ruined. Or waking up to some smaller squirpets crawling around in your bed. Oh, bro, orcs, please add doors to your freaking doors. Like, you need them. The Alliance and others really should have just have sustained heavy, and I mean heavy casualties trying to invade this place. Also, look at these canyons. This would be an amazing spot for a fort. Just stick a fort here in the center with some drawbridges, some gatehouses, and holy moly, no one's gonna get to that thing. Furthermore, no one is going to be able to take it out with siege equipment because of all these mountains in the way. Now, there are some smaller spots where you could get some siege machines there to fire at the fort, but you can mitigate that by just placing smaller forts and forces in those spots to make it harder for an invading force to take them. The main fort would then supply and aid these other forts, and an invading force by the way would just would just never invade these cannons, because then the Horde can just shower the enemy with arrows and boiling oil, and oh gosh, it would just be glorious.
By Palm Sunday's Boniface. Get back on fucking task, man. We just want to know the score of this place.
Alright, yeah. For safety, I give this zone 4 thralls out of 5. I would have given it a 5, but those dang scorpions, man, oh frick no. Why did you just pause my groove?
Oh, don't worry. I'm doing you a favor. If any of you like and subscribe, I'll turn wealth to an ice cube.
Wait, you can't.
Too late. I heard a sub. Yes. Oh no.
As the capital of the Horde and how much stuff it needs to produce, I would say that the zone would be semi-industrialized. Especially given that Durotar tends to be rich in ore, I feel like there would be some factories to produce things such as weapons, armor, and goblin tech. There would also be places of learning, like for combat, magic, given that it's a huge trading hub and racial hub full of ideas and services. Now, given the fact that they're in a bloody desert, they're most definitely not going to be able to produce enough food to support the city's population, and they're absolutely not going to make enough to export to other nations. Exhibit A. Yeah, it's not very fertile. Now, I imagine Durotar produces very little pork and grains, though, I mean, you can see, like, all the pork that they have, like, look at all these pigs. But, like, I doubt this would be enough to sustain the entire population. So, I imagine they'd have to rely mostly upon food imports to sustain such a massive population here. I imagine the bulk of their food goods come from other regions and factions of the Horde, such as from the Barons, Mulgore, and Ashara. Also, side note, they would also have, like, a massive harbor here, not this little dinky, these little dinky docks. They'd have an actual full-on harbor and port here. Like, come on, man, you need food. Oh, also, the other thing that I think they'd have is, I think that I could see the Horde having a Zeppelin airport of some kind. Like, they'd have that. They have the tech for that. We got goblins. Come on, guys. Anyway, with Durotar having a developed capital which provides a lot of opportunities for trade, services, goods, and an overall more comfort and ease of access for one's life. However, their development really is rather poor. Like, just their docks suck. They have, like, no food production, really. So I'm going to give them 2 Doomhammers out of 5. As this region is the capital of the Horde, the opportunity for a job is quite expansive, honestly. You could work on a fishing vessel catching crabs and fish. You could work in a mine or in a goblin warehouse, become a merchant or run a stall, or heck, join the military or become a guard. As it is the capital city of the Horde, I'm sure you could find a job as any race, and the Horde could really find a use for anyone. So I give this section a solid 5 pickaxes. You definitely won't be short on trying to find a job here.
Yeah, man. Come aboard me ship. I take you to see all the best hotels.
While many races call Orgrimmar home, and with the extension of Durotar, the high majority of races one would meet here are the Orcs, a highly proud and a militaristic race. I think the Orcs would be pretty judgmental on average towards races with less strength, and they are often hot-headed, so unless you're a warrior or hold your ancestors to a high regard as they worship their ancestors, I don't think you'd get much respect from them. Imagine if you angered your orc neighbor and you're a human or an elf and he just challenges you to a makara. I don't think the orcs are quite the welcoming type, at least on average. Especially for races that don't have a warrior culture such as them, or races that possess similar strength. I could easily see an orc taking advantage of the more tribal-like laws and culture of the Horde, like challenging a human or elf to a makara, knowing full well that he's just going to just outright win that strength base. Like, oh man. However, the orcs, and by extension most of the Horde, do have a high honor morality they try to live by, but to me, their honor system seems to be more based on a general feeling of fairness, rather than any hard code that they live by or any rules or laws. Meaning, going based off of feeling can be easily abused, whether intentionally or not. But the orcs aren't actively hostile, just not as welcoming as humans would be, or trolls, at least in my opinion. So I give this section 3 orc peons out of 5. As you can probably guess, Durotar is drier than the outback of Australia.
You what, mate? You better not be insulting my land, or I'll stick my rabbit koala on you.
I would never insult the great outback heat wasteland of Australia. Don't worry. Anyway, no rain or cool cloudy days. The only temperatures here are hot, chokingly dry, and roasting hot sand to burn your feet to a crisp. And some, dust storms to fill your mouth and eyeballs with sand. So unless you really like heat exhaustion and the color orange, I give this place a 1 thrall out of 5. First off, I find the orc architecture charming. Not the garish stuff, the classic orc stuff, the real deal. And I was genuinely surprised with how defendable the Horde capital and the region is as a whole. Holy moly. However, I would hate to live in a place like this. I like more temperate regions and places with real beauty. Though I do find a certain charm to Durotar, I wouldn't want to vibe here for very long in its dusty embrace. Though traveling through Orgrimmar would be a lot of fun, to get a glimpse of all the cultures and races and their goods that make up the Horde and all in one place. That sounds fun. So in short, would most people, or even I, want to live in Durotar? The heck no. I think most people would much rather live somewhere else, and I most especially wouldn't want to live here. Particularly given the choices of food, the frickin' scorpids, and the dry roasting heat. Though Durotar actually has some nice beaches. On a scale of never going to the zone to joyfully living in it, I wouldn't mind being a tourist and visiting the city and Durotar in general for a few days, buying some souvenirs and the like. But that's about it. So the zone gets 1 dusty scorpid out of 5 for me, which places Durotar at 19 out of 35, putting it in D tier, which is higher than I thought it would actually get, to be honest. The main things carrying this zone are pretty much jobs and its strategic position, and that's really all Durotar has going for it. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below, and until next time, guys, see ya! With abundant amount of fertile type. What the frick was that? The capital offers. Oh, I keep saying that wrong. I mean, there is also cactus apples, and then huh, dude. Power the enemy with arrows, boiling oil. Would be some factories to produce. Nope. Are having a gosh freaking